Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up, boss? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
Mayor Karen Bass says she's investigating the decision she made to head to Ghana days before the LA fires. She also wants doctors to open her brain to find out why she's so stupid.
Greg Gutfeld just unleashed a truth bomb so explosive, even Karen Bass's Wi-Fi tried to flee the scene. One moment, she's delivering a smooth political pitch, and the next, bam! She's starring in a roast she never agreed to. You won't believe how quickly it spiraled from official statement to total disaster. If you thought politicians could dodge accountability, wait till you witness this dodge and crash live. Greg came ready this time, and he did not hold back.
To a Senator Mayor Karen Bass put the gone in Ghana for the president's inauguration. A Sky News reporter confronted her about it when she finally got back, and Karen had a ton to say.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
If you're enjoying this chaos, make sure to subscribe. It helps more than you can imagine. Some politicians hide their slip-ups behind endless speeches. But Karen Bass? She hides hers behind even longer press conferences. Every time she steps to a podium, Los Angeles braces itself like someone just shouted, "Incoming!" Because whenever Bass talks about fixing the city, a brand new scandal, tent, or carjacking seems to pop up out of thin air, like she's unlocked a secret bonus level in a disaster simulation game.
Once again, Karen Bass talks out of her ass. Because when destruction occurs, it's everyone's fault but hers. LA Mayor Karen Bass is demanding an investigation into her trip to Ghana. The H is silent. As the LA fires erupted, a trip she made the decision to embark on. Roll it, Lance.
Although there were warnings that I frankly wasn't aware of, although there were warnings, I think our preparation wasn't what it typically is.
Greg Gutfeld saw everything unfold, and he didn't just watch. He grabbed popcorn, took notes, and said, "Let's unpack this circus." Because honestly, what's more entertaining than a mayor who turns every city update into a shocking plot twist? One day, she's promising to tackle homelessness, and the next, surprise, the crisis gets its own sequel titled Homelessness: The Return. You couldn't script it better if you tried.
She wants to know how she ended up thousands of miles away in Africa. It seems to me like it's pretty simple. She hopped on a plane and flew there. What, did someone blindfold her, throw her in the back of a trunk, and bing, bang, boom, she ended up in Ghana? Nope, she booked a trip, and as mayor, she lives in LA where fires are a part of life. Blaming her absence on someone else is kind of like blaming your hangover on the bartender. It's all on you, Mayor Bass, which means you'll probably be governor in no time.
Karen Bass seems convinced every issue can be solved by, guess what, announcing another committee. In Los Angeles, that's code for, we'll talk about it for 5 years while the problem gets its own zip code. Gutfeld had a blast pointing out that the city's go-to solution for everything is hiring more consultants. Because nothing screams progress like paying someone 6 figures to write a fancy report that basically says, we should probably do something.
For credit, this is an audacious play. You know, it's like OJ saying, like, we need to find the killer.
Yeah. It's like, good luck, Nancy Drew, with this mystery. How did you end up on another continent on a trip that you chose to go on? She's like, we don't know the details, but we're looking into it.
Yeah.
She also promised as a candidate not to leave the country ever as mayor. She loved to go to Africa, she said, but not anymore once I'm mayor. She listed like 5 cities she would ever go to, and that's it. And then here she is for the 4th or 5th time overseas, and this happens. And she's, I guess, so out of any other excuse or idea that she said, we're investigating ourselves.
Meanwhile, Los Angeles residents are battling real-life chaos, traffic, crime, inflation, and a mayor who treats optimism like it's an actual policy. She keeps promising to make LA the city of the future, but no one expected that future to look straight out of a post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie directed by whoever made Mad Max. Greg doesn't need deep analysis. Just pointing out the obvious is enough. It's like watching someone declare they've solved world hunger by renaming it food insecurity. When Bass took office, she vowed to unite the city, and technically she did. Liberals, conservatives, renters, landlords, even pigeons are united in frustration. LA is so united in complaining, it might as well have its own anthem. Greg observed that every one of her plans needs two things: more money and blind faith. The money's from taxpayers, and the faith's in buildings half finished, half safe, half clean, half governed.
Karen Bass, best known for going to Ghana while L.A. burned, just got smoletted. The L.A. mayor claims ICE kidnapped a migrant mom and held her in a warehouse, hoping she'd self-deport, and adding, quote, "This doesn't make anyone safer." There's just one problem for Karen. The story's a hoax. The so-called victim, a Mexican national, is now facing federal charges for faking her own kidnapping and blaming ICE. The DOJ says Yuriana Calderon staged the whole thing.
Gutfeld called out how the city burns through millions on temporary housing projects, so slow that by the time they're built, half the homeless have either moved or built their own mini neighborhoods nearby. Bass keeps cutting ribbons for buildings that only exist on PowerPoint slides. It's tragic comedy at its finest. Her relationship with reality? On and off, mostly off. Every time crime spikes, she acts shocked, like she just discovered gravity. "We didn't see this coming," she says, while everyone in LA is yelling, "We did!" Greg thrives on irony, and Bass delivers it daily. When she claims the city's safer, LAPD stats practically roll in, saying, "You sure about that?" When she boasts about a cleaner LA, sanitation crews send postcards from the trenches saying, "We're trying." Yet she still finds a way to make bad news sound uplifting, announcing homelessness dropped 1% while someone's catalytic converter gets stolen mid-sentence.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted endangered fish, I'd say it's the Karen Bass. Her career is up in flames. She called for unity amid this crisis. There is unity. Everybody there thinks you're a full-blown idiot who should resign. I do think you're going to see rage in the next couple of years, because you can't fight fire with platitudes, pronouns, and politics. You need practical solutions.
Here's the irony that drives Greg wild. Karen Bass stays calm like a yoga instructor, while the city collapses around her like a flimsy movie set. She smiles through chaos, nods through scandals, and delivers speeches that sound like they were written by an AI trained on denial and positivity. When she claims things are moving in the right direction, no one knows which direction that is, because the only thing moving fast in LA is the crowd fleeing to Texas. Greg joked that soon LA will just be her, a few reporters, and a bunch of dead electric scooters no one's charged since 2022. Those scooters, once her symbol of sustainability, now litter the sidewalks like fossils from failed ideas. It's almost poetic. The city that dreamed of being futuristic now looks like the wreckage of a tech startup apocalypse. And every city update feels like a cliffhanger. Another state of emergency waiting to drop.
Everything she says that's horrible, she does with a smile.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
It's weird.
It's freaky, and it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, wouldn't we all want to have this excuse where I would be like, babe, I'm investigating how I went to the strip club as well. I don't know how that happened. It is under investigation. The winds were blowing that way, but I didn't know, and do I have a chainsaw?
Yeah.
Emergency meetings, emergency conferences, an emergency about too many emergencies. Gutfeld joked that Bass doesn't need a communications director. She needs a fire alarm. But the wildest part of Greg's roast wasn't her performance. It was her confidence. She walks into every meeting like she's about to announce the cure for chaos, only to reveal another study about chaos instead. She doesn't fix problems. She assigns essays on them. Gutfeld noticed the hilarious pattern. The more she talks about improvement, the more LA looks like a live-action before picture. He compared it to watching someone repaint a burning house and calling it renovation. Every move feels like a gamble, that positivity can outshout logic. Yet when Greg exposes her contradictions, her fans act like he's the issue. By the end, it didn't even feel like political commentary. It was stand-up comedy disguised as civic education. Because seriously, how do you keep a straight face when the city's crime plan is basically hoping it disappears?
Solutions. And the people that offer practical solutions were ignored. Water management, forest management, power line safety, brush clearing, vegetation clearing. You don't fight it with a climate agenda, a DEI agenda, or even a political agenda. And you hear Democrats in the media criticizing Trump and others for speaking out as the tragedy unfolds, as if they don't do it during every mass shooting. But here's the difference. You can't speak out if you were warning people years before.
The funniest part? She talks about bold action like she's hyping the next blockbuster. But instead of heroes saving the day, we get another committee with matching tote bags. LA doesn't need more task forces. It needs an actual task. Gutfeld's sarcasm practically writes itself. Whenever Bass talks about reforming law enforcement, every sentence sounds like a riddle wrapped in confusion. 10 minutes later, no one knows if she's increasing funding, cutting funding, or just funding the chaos. It's almost an art form. Some people juggle fire. Bass juggles contradictions. When things go wrong, she throws out random stats faster than a Vegas card dealer. Crime is down 2%, she says, forgetting it's up 50% from last year. Greg joked that her stats team must use a dartboard labeled Random Facts. And you can't forget her obsession with image. She treats bad headlines like stains, spinning endlessly, hoping no one notices.
But you're right. Like the mayor Karen Bass, she was in Africa at a party. Why was she, who's ever been like, oh, this party sucks, we need Karen Bass? Like, I mean, the last thing you wanted at a party is more Karens. You know?
Gutfeld exposed how Bass's team spends more time polishing the illusion of progress than actually making it happen. In LA, image isn't everything. It's the only thing. He pointed out the absurdity of her taking credit for miracles that happen just in time for cameras. Homeless camps vanish right before her press tours, only to reappear once the lights go off. It's like watching Grand Theft Auto, Downtown Edition. Greg didn't even have to exaggerate. It's pure performance art. He joked that Bass runs the city like a Hollywood set. Perfect lighting, smiling extras, and nothing real behind the curtain. As long as it looks like progress, she's satisfied. The irony? She's the first mayor who could turn a budget deficit into an inspiring story. Gutfeld loves that contrast, the way she praises transparency while her administration hides bad news faster than filling potholes. It's politics on repeat. Same cast, same script, worse acting.
Karen Bass claimed that ICE kidnapped an L.A. mother on her way to work, but prosecutors say it was a hoax. Karen swears by the story, saying she heard about it from her boyfriend in Chicago.
And then comes her idea of community trust. Nothing says trust like doubling the city's consultant budget, while citizens can't even trust their cars to keep their catalytic converters overnight. It's poetic irony. She's restoring faith in government by proving exactly why no one has any. Greg mocked how every town hall feels like group therapy for broken policies. People show up desperate for solutions, and Bass gives them motivational speeches about civic unity. It's like watching a self-help book run for office. He roasted the absurdity of her talking about affordable housing while surrounded by developers whose version of affordable requires a 6-figure income and 3 roommates. It's a real estate magic trick. Money vanishes, nothing gets built, yet the applause sign still flashes. And speaking of applause, Greg noticed she lives for it. Every new initiative comes with a dramatic reveal, like she's reinventing doing her job. If speeches filled potholes, LA roads would be flawless.
You again for an update on a place that you know very, very well.
The Pacific Palisades, still very fluid. People are desperately trying to get into the neighborhood because we're hearing about looters. We're seeing videos of people on bikes Maybe they're scoping out neighborhoods where some homes still stand, and they're convinced that there will be easy passage. And people are really desperate to get in, check on their homes. It's still very difficult to access information.
Instead, residents are driving through craters deep enough to earn their own zip codes. But the sharpest punch in Gutfeld's roast came when he exposed how out of touch Bass truly is. When asked about rising costs, she talks about economic momentum. When crime comes up, she pivots to restorative justice. Greg joked, "It's like watching someone describe a fire while calmly roasting marshmallows." The real comedy? The reactions. Every time Greg tears apart her logic, social media explodes. It's not that she's a monster, she's just painfully average in a system that rewards pretending everything's fine. He didn't expose her with anger, but with laughter. Because when your city's this chaotic, you either cry or you laugh. And Greg decided to laugh first.